Hello everybody, it's the Abstractionist with Jupiter Spring 2023. Yeah, because everything is going to be great regardless. That's another. Okay. I'm using Lightseer's Tarot, Astro Alignment deck, and yeah. Three of Cups, King of Wands, King of Cups, King of Pentacles, Five of Swords, and the Ten of Swords. So it's a good thing to integrate all of the pieces of you, everything that you are, and not being ashamed of it, not being ashamed of where you come from. And that could be a literal like place where you come from that has a lot of shame attached to it, not being ashamed of it, being very proud of it, but not necessarily overly connected into it where you can't see its more negative side and you're not willing to work on improving the more negative aspects of your culture, race, whatever. Primarily it seems like culture. So you may be investing more in like lineage, heritage, and stuff like that. It's something that I'm interested in doing too. But for you, it seems like it's very deeply rooted. So you may be figuring out like, it could be more of like moving countries, being adopted, not being from the same bloodline as the people around you. I'm not having the same parents as your other siblings. Like they all have the same pair of parents, but you're kind of like outside of that and kind of standing in your own about what that means and the peculiarities of that family line and what you did and did not inherit, and finding commonality and common ground with the lessons that you have to learn. That's a King of Wands, Knight of Wands. So there's all these different pairings of genetics and all these different pairings of issues and karmic lessons and problems. Some of them are yours because you're a direct inheritor of them, and others are not, but they're more environmentally influential on your like journey, right? So certain things like maybe alcoholism, certain mental health disorders, things like that would be more inherited bloodline wise, and then other things may be more environmentally kind of pushed on you or made acceptable by other people, and then you like took those on, but they're not an inheritance of blood, they're an inheritance of circumstance, situation, environment, inheritance of like validation or approval. And so you may just be in this space of trying to figure out what group has validated a lot of these experiences and what group has not, and making the distinction. So with the Aries here, the North Node should be in Aries or will be going into Aries. I think that a lot of people, maybe if you have Saturn in Aries, that's coming up in about 3-ish years, 4 years or so, if you're into Western. Because Saturn is in Pisces. you may be having to flush a lot of this out and go through a pure individuation process of, this is mine, this is not mine, this is what I wish to take on, this is what I don't wish to take on. These are the limitations of my family as it currently stands based on what I see and have experienced. And these are the things that I personally have experienced. And you may have to do like columns where you like compare and contrast, and then go through each of these columns and figure out what's going on. And really see what's yours and not yours. And sometimes writing things down helps you a lot, because you're able to process it a little bit more. You're processing it enough to write it down and to kind of perhaps form it into a cohesive block of thought that is written word that you can read back and enter into your feedback loop to kind of then process it again and gain a deeper layer of understanding as you get that feedback loop. So it's a lot more about really figuring out the key players, and it could be just like the key players of people who like you've had difficult relationships with and why. What are the characteristics you see in yourself? What characteristics of them do you see in yourself? What characteristics of you do you see in them? And it may surprise you, and you could do this more like stream of consciousness or whatever, or you can have a conversation with them if you would like. Getting people's real opinions about you may be important. And it's not really saying that it's going to be disappointing to hear what they are. It's just going to be like, kind of like you can put it to bed, what they think about you, and kind of like, well, the Ten of Swords, it's more like, it's a finality of knowing. It's not necessarily accepting, but you know it until there's no void in your mind. With the Five of Swords, it's kind of like half and half. There's a void there, and there's some inkling of knowing, but there's not a full knowing, right? I went to get water. And so yeah. This is a good time to see yourself like shift and grow as a person apart from these other players, and then understand your relation to other players and perhaps what they bring out in you, as opposed to like just observing the world and not interacting with that information as in doing something about it. But you're going to interact with information and then do something about it. Even if the do something about it is just to distance yourself or speak your mind or something like that. It's really simple and straightforward. The Queen of Swords. It's not too much, right? Six of Cups. You would have the most, I was going to say the most happiest, but you would really be particularly more happy if you were to be emotionally honest with yourself and others. And I think verbalizing what you desire. I think what you desire is not out of reach. It may feel like it's out of reach because people have certain reactions to stuff, right? That make you think that this is not an acceptable thing to ask for, particularly when it relates to relationships. Oops. However, what you're asking for doesn't seem to be unreasonable. It seems very doable and very within the realm of possibilities, but it does take some introspection from you to figure that out. And you may have people with this Hermit over this Five of Swords, people leave as they try to figure out what the shift in the relationship is. And for some people, they may have this idea of not being good enough. That's the reason why the relationship failed. It's just they're not on the same path as you. And this is something I've been contemplating a while, and I've been watching people talk about this topic. So I guess we're all kind of aware that we're shifting and growing away and apart from certain groups of people and apart from different aspects of ourselves. A double and then 6 of Swords. Page of Swords. So yeah, there's going to be some people who this triggers their own reaction, negative reactions, negative patterning that they've had that they need to work on. And that's just not your problem to deal with. That's not your problem to solve. And then there's other people who maybe some of them have been waiting for you to be on that path and frequency so that they can like meet back up with you on your path or whatever. Or there's just new people who, sensing that you're on this path, can come in and they're able to kind of move forward with that. Because being more yourself with this Saturn energy helps you to be a better like partner. And just talking about partner as in just relationships in general to other people. You're able to do that. It's not as much of a burden. It's not as much of an emotional minefield, and other people appreciate that, the richness that you bring to them, and you're attracting and being a part of people's lives who are able to receive what you have, and that you also have gone through the awareness process of self to cultivate what you can give to other people in a more positive aspect. But some people, they'll just be fucking rattled because you're leaving, and it really just creates a vacuum within them that they need to go within, and they may or may not do it, but that's not what your lesson is for them or which you're bringing towards them in the end. I just want one, maybe 2 more, but and then planetary return. So some of you guys are getting ready for planetary return. Is this, I kind of feel like a balancing out after this planetary return. So it could be literally just your sun sign. It could be your moon sign. But I think it's a sign that takes longer than like 30 days to transit something. So it most likely isn't your moon. It's probably like farther out. So your Saturn, your Jupiter. I mean, even your sun. But yeah. Well, the moon would take 2-3 days. 1 to 3 days, really. So it wouldn't, I don't think it's your moon. I think it's something that there's a longer transit and that you would see significant shifts in your life as this planet progresses. Let's see about this Hermit. I'm going to adjust this over that. And then you have Page of Cups. Yeah, being able to go into oneself and examine things is a strength that many people don't seem to ever develop. Being able to see oneself more accurately. And I was going to say attacking, but dealing with those shame and guilt and all of those kind of lower vibrational emotions that keep you stuck, and also the shame of feeling like you're leaving people behind is something to work through also. So you may be leaving people behind, but it's okay. You're individuating yourself. This is a long time coming. So for some of you, if you have a Saturn in Libra, Aries, or even Pisces, the sign after that comes after. So if you're a Saturn in Pisces, Saturn in Aries, you would start to see this stuff really take effect. If you were Saturn in Libra, you would start to have seen this take effect in Scorpio. If you're Aries, you'll start to see this take effect when Saturn goes into Taurus. Right? Like it'll take some time to see it, but it's because you're building up something right now. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.